After bursting onto the scene with the viral hit Peso, A$AP Rocky was poised to be the next shining star out of New York. So what happened? A$AP Rocky was a name that once seemed destined for hip-hop's highest echelon. With his breakout success and cultural impact, many expected him to become one of the defining rappers of his generation. But despite his influence in music, fashion, and pop culture, Rocky never quite reached the top tier alongside names like Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and J. Cole. Why? Today we're diving into the rise, roadblocks, and reasons A$AP Rocky never fully flourished into hip-hop's elite. In 2011, A$AP Rocky exploded onto the hip-hop scene with the LONG.LIVE.A AP mixtape, which included songs like Peso and Purple Swag. A unique mix of Houston, Texas's chopped and screwed influences and Harlem's unique swagger and flair. Hey y'all, I am a one-man show. I record, edit the video myself, create the thumbnail, everything. So hitting like and subscribe does help a bunch. Thanks so much. Back to the video. See, Rocky wore his music influences on his sleeves, inspired by acts like Dipset, 3 6 Mafia, and Kanye West. In fact, Rocky is named after the hip-hop legend Rakim.
A$AP Rocky's government name is Rakim. His mother named him after Rakim. His mother was a big Rakim fan.
His early music reflected a blend of Southern-style beats mixed with Harlem swagger, making him stand out from the rest at the very beginning. See, it was this combination of Southern chopped and screwed influence mixed with this New York swag and aesthetic that made A$AP Rocky stand out from everyone else when he first came on the scene. People loved the song Peso, but there was something about A$AP Rocky and the A$AP mob at large that was kind of infectious beyond just the music. The hype surrounding the LONG.LIVE.A AP mixtape led to a massive $3 million record deal with RCA Records, and by 2013, A$AP Rocky's debut album, LongLiveA AP, was a commercial and critical success, debuting #1 on the Billboard 200. Now, LongLiveA AP is a really good album. I really love the LONG.LIVE.A AP mixtape, but the LongLiveA AP album was fire. It has songs like Fashion Killer, where it seemed like A$AP Rocky kind of summoned Rihanna, and they eventually became an item. It kind of reminded me of that early Nipsey Hussle interview where he's talking about girls in the industry that he finds attractive, and he mentions Lauren London.
The 5 chicks in the industry that you would smash.
The little Lauren London girl got it. She on that. She A1. After that little ATL came out, she just had a good look. She was looking kind of fly. The lip gloss popping and all that.
And then years later, Lauren London is his girl. Like, I feel like A$AP Rocky did that on Fashion Killer with Rihanna. Let's just be frank. The LongLiveA AP album was massive. I remember this album leaked a whole month before its release date. Back in the early 2010s, it was common for albums to leak. Your album would get leaked a week before at worst. A week before, usually a couple days before. Somehow, some way, someone would leak the album. Maybe it's someone who works at a store or an engineer. Someone would leak the album. Usually only a couple days before the album comes out. I remember LongLiveA AP leaked a whole month before it came out. So people were really excited to hear this album. A$AP Rocky was one of the biggest names. And you gotta remember, this is early on. At this point, Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole, they're all only a couple years into their career. Guys like Young Thug haven't fully taken off. Future hasn't fully taken off. So the rap game is really anyone's for the taking. And A$AP Rocky was looking like a formidable contender for that S-tier elite rap echelon. Rocky had it all: charisma, hit records, and a movement in the A$AP mob. He got hot around 2011, roughly the same time as Kendrick and Cole, save a few years. But as his peers built on their successes, Rocky's trajectory took a different turn. So what happened? Rocky had the vision, the cosigns, the hit songs like Effin' Problems, put A$AP Rocky on the same track as rap giants like Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
Talking about it's not up for discussion. I will pay to make it bigger. I don't pay for no reduction. She eyeing me like it don't exist. Girl, I know you want it.
Rapping right alongside some of the hottest rappers in the game like 2 Chainz. So what happened? I believe several factors played into Rocky's stagnation as a rapper. The first being inconsistency. Unlike Drake and Kendrick, who built momentum with each release, A$AP Rocky's output slowed down. There's over 2 years in between the LongLiveA AP album and the At Long Last ASAP album. Over 2 years between those two albums, and there's 3 years between At Long Last ASAP and the next album, Testing. Keep in mind at this time, guys like Kendrick and Drake and Cole are dropping almost yearly, very rarely taking a 2-year break and then a 3-year break. On top of that, A$AP Rocky's platinum sophomore album, At Long Last ASAP, was more experimental and lacked the major commercial successes outside of a few singles like LSD and Everyday. But he didn't have a huge song like Effin' Problems on that At Long Last ASAP album. But overall, it had great sales and good critical acclaim. But the real issue arose in 2018 with A$AP Rocky's album Testing. Testing arrived with mixed reviews, and while it's praised for its creativity, it lacked the mainstream appeal needed to cement Rocky as a top-tier rapper alongside his peers. Fans also critiqued the experimental, directionless nature of the album compared to Rocky's previous work. Furthermore, Testing dropped in 2018, which was a massive year for hip-hop. There were so many great releases in 2018, from Benny the Butcher's Tennis Hawk 3 to Pusha T's Daytona, to Drake's Scorpion, Cause Orpheus versus the Sirens. This was the year that Kanye West was releasing those 7-song albums. He dropped the Tiana Taylor joint, he dropped the Nas joint. Daytona was one of those 7-song albums that Kanye West did that year. There was so much going on in hip hop, so many great releases. When Testing came out and it was kind of just okay and kind of like directionless and super fluid and it didn't match up to Rocky's previous work, it became very easy to just write that album off and move along. And unlike his contemporaries, A$AP Rocky's ambitions weren't focused solely on music. He quickly became a fashion icon, collaborating with brands like Raf Simons, Gucci, and Dior. A$AP Rocky started making waves in fashion around 2012-2013, shortly after his breakout in music. A$AP Rocky's love for high fashion was evident early on, and he frequently referenced brands like Raf Simons, Rick Owens, and Balmain in his lyrics.
Raf Simons, Rick Owens, usually what I'm dressed in.
So by 2013, A$AP Rocky was already attending Fashion Week events and collaborating with brands. His influence in fashion grew significantly. He worked with brands like Jeremy Scott and HBA, partnered with Guess in 2016, and over the years he expanded his footprint with collaborations with designer brands like Dior, Gucci, and Prada, which solidified his status as a fashionista, a fashion icon, if you will. So A$AP Rocky's influence arguably surpassed music. It made him more of a cultural tastemaker than a dominant rapper. And while this elevated his status in the fashion world, it also made his music seem like an afterthought, causing some fans to lose interest. Now, it's no surprise that Drake and A$AP Rocky are rivals. On the diss track Family Matters, even Drake attributes A$AP Rocky's decline to fashion.
Rakim talking again. I ain't even know you rap still, cause they only talking about your fit again. Even when you do drop, they gon' say you should have modeled cause it's mid again. One
of the biggest turning points in Rocky's career was the tragic loss of A AP Yams in 2015. I am a one-man show. I record, edit the video myself, create the thumbnail, everything. So hitting like and subscribe does help a bunch. Thanks so much. Back to the video.
A$AP Yams meet Nardward, man. All right, how you doing?
A$AP Yams wasn't just a friend. He wasn't just another member of the A$AP mob. A$AP Yams was the mastermind behind A$AP and the A$AP mob. He's the one who guided Rocky's career. He crafted A$AP Rocky's aesthetic and ensured A$AP Rocky's music reached the right audiences. I mean, even in interviews, it's clear that the group derived their energy from A$AP Yams. A$AP Yams was one of those rare galvanizing figures in hip hop, someone who brings people together and gives them a purpose, gives them a focus. Think of someone like RZA or Mac Miller. So to lose Yams so suddenly undoubtedly affected the group as a whole. A$AP Yams' 2015 death was from an accidental drug overdose, and it left a massive void in the A$AP mob. Yams died on January 18th, 2015, and Rocky's At Long Last ASAP released on May 28th, 2015. So Yams died before that album was published and maybe before that album even was completely finished. And without Yams steering the ship, being the tastemaker that even A$AP Yams admitted, I am the tastemaker behind this group. Nothing comes through A$AP Mob without me seeing it.
I'm the boss of the whole operation. Nothing goes through without me and Rocky approving it first. And whatever Rocky does, I make sure I'm hands-on with all of that stuff.
Without Yams assuming that position, it's understandable why Rocky's career became more experimental, but also less focused.
I know I went on the internet and I just started discovering like more and more music that wasn't on the radio, the chopped and screwed stuff, all the stuff from the South that was obscure. I got put onto it through Napster.
Which made it harder for A$AP Rocky to continue his initial momentum that he had from those first couple mixtapes and albums. So it's really no surprise that many fans of A$AP Mob note that At Long Last A$AP album was the point where they felt that A$AP Rocky's music started to kind of decline a bit. Although At Long Last A$AP was a good album, I think you'll find that a lot of fans agree that this is where the decline kind of started. It's no surprise because that's also the year that A$AP Yams passed. So to Rocky's credit, he continued to push forward with that At Long Last A$AP album. It was a good album, but it's clear that Yams' absence affected the cohesion and direction of A$AP Rocky's music. R.I.P. A$AP Yams. A$AP Rocky's legal troubles further derailed his trajectory. In 2019, he was arrested in Sweden for an assault, which caused an international media frenzy. And although Rocky avoided jail time in that situation, the ordeal kept him out of the studio and out of the public eye for months. Then in 2023, A$AP Rocky was charged with assault with a firearm in connection to an alleged shooting involving a former A$AP Mob member. Thankfully for A$AP Rocky, on February 18th, 2025, he was found not guilty on 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm.
Not guilty.
So those charges, Rocky beat them, but it's no surprise that having back-to-back legal battles, one in 2019, the other in 2021, it's no surprise how that could stall someone's music career or even hinder their creativity. Another key factor in Rocky's changing focus has been fatherhood. In 2022, Rocky and Rihanna welcomed their first child, and in 2023, they had their second. Becoming a father has undoubtedly influenced Rocky's career, and while this hasn't completely taken Rocky out of music, it's completely understandable that it's slowed his output and likely made his musical career feel less urgent compared to his earlier years. But that's all I'll say on that. I'm not about talking about people's families and kids on this channel, so we'll move on. Salute to Rihanna, salute to Rocky. But it should also be noted that Drake yet again attributed A$AP Rocky's decline to having kids.
Probably gotta have a kid again before you think of dropping in it again.
So take that however you wish. And beyond Rocky's own choices between fatherhood and legal battles, hip hop itself evolved. While artists like Travis Scott and Playboi Carti might have built on Rocky's aesthetic and took it to new heights, Rocky struggled to keep up with shifting trends. See, when Rocky initially came on the hip hop scene using that Space Ghost Perp influenced chopped and screwed Southern sound, it felt novel, especially coming from a New York artist. However, within a couple years, the New York rap scene shifted more towards drill, and rappers like Pop Smoke and K-Flock became more preferable. This left Rocky's sound kind of abandoned, which might explain why albums like Testing felt directionless, vapid, empty, experimental. Was A$AP Rocky trying to find his musical identity again on that album? I mean, the melodic, rage-driven sound of today's rap is something that A$AP Rocky helped pioneer, but newer artists refined it in ways that surpassed Rocky's initial influence. But despite the setbacks, A$AP Rocky still remains a relevant figure in music and fashion and just hip-hop culture at large. His relationship with Rihanna keeps him in the headlines, and he still has a very dedicated fan base. So I think Rocky can definitely drop an album that people are waiting for. People are still anticipating A$AP Rocky's new album. They're anticipating new music just like they do with Rihanna. But the question remains, will Rocky ever return to rap's highest level? Or has he more settled into his role as a cultural figure, cultural tastemaker? So y'all let me know what you think. What was your favorite A$AP Rocky album? For me, that Live Love ASAP mixtape, perfect. That's one of the best mixtapes of all time. I thought the LongLiveA AP album was a great follow-up to that mixtape, and there's some parts of At Long Last A$AP that I also really like too. But I do agree, once Testing came around and it was kind of more experimental, it was not like what Rocky had done before, and I think we can attribute that partially to what happened with A$AP Yams, R.I.P. A$AP Yams, being that tastemaker, being that galvanizing leader, not having him at all during the Testing era. You got to see how that could affect someone's music, right? So anyways, that's all I got for today. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Watch these videos. I got some videos up here. Might be up here or down here. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Top5rapwebsite.com. Peace.